Hello everyone, Tom with Capo Fetish. Today on the channel, we're going to talk about 20 cool album tracks and interludes under 1 minute. So without wasting a minute, let's start off here with a track that is 55 seconds off the first Moby Grape album. The track called Naked If I Want To. It's the last track on side 1. It's a fantastic track. This is an initial pressing of the first Moby Grape album featuring Don Stevenson flipping off the camera. And they airbrush it out in later pressings, but great track, Naked If I Want To, coming in at 55 seconds off the debut from Moby Grape, one of the best debuts from the 60s, in my opinion. Coming in at 28 seconds from the third Black Sabbath album, Master of Reality, a little instrumental ditty called Embryo, the track right before Children of the Grave. This track always reminded me of some kind of medieval dance, some medieval kind of track played by Tony Iommi, the guitarist. So 28 seconds of Embryo off Black Sabbath from Master of Reality. The group Game Theory, really great indie band from the 80s. I believe their third or fourth album. I'm not sure. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think they're fourth. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of people consider this their best album. It's their double album. Quite an album, too. A real head trip album. The album is called Lolita Nation, and there are two tracks that I really dig on this album that are under a minute long. One is called Shard, comes in at 21 seconds, and there's one that follows it called Go Ahead, You're Dying To at 37 seconds. Those are really cool little ditties under 1 minute long. So Shard, under coming in at 21 seconds, and Go Ahead, You're Dying To at 37 seconds off side 1 of Game Theory's 1987 album Lolita Nation. Coming in at a whopping 49 seconds is an outtake from Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde album that appeared on the Biograph box set. The song is called Jet Pilot, and it's a nice rollicking little track. But it's over before you know it, and I think it's only been featured on this box set. So I think it's on, what is it, disc number, or side 3, disc 2. Really cool stuff. Jet Pilot, 49 seconds off Biograph from Bob Dylan, an outtake from Blonde on Blonde. The Mothers of Invention, Frank Zappa, the album, We're Only In It for the Money. The track, What's the Ugliest Part of Your Body? The reprise, should I say, reprise. Coming in at 57 seconds, right towards the end of the album. I've always loved this track. This album is just full of quick little under 1 minute tracks. So again, What's the Ugliest Part of Your Body? Reprise, coming in at 57 seconds from We're Only In It for the Money from the Mothers of Invention from 1968. The last track on Mudslide Slim from James Taylor. The track Isn't It Nice to Be Home Again, coming in at 55 seconds. Really great album. I'd have to say after Sweet Baby James, I think this is my favorite second James Taylor album here. A lot of great tracks on here. It has You've Got a Friend, Love Has Brought You Around. Just a lot of cool tracks like Long Ago and Far Away. So again, Isn't It Nice to Be Home Again, coming in at 55 seconds on Mudslide Slim from James Taylor. A song that starts off Picking Up the Pieces from Poco, right before this really jubilant track starts out called What a Day. The track is called Forward, and it's beautifully sung by lead singer Richie Furay. This one's coming in at 48 seconds, and it's a nice little warm-up for the track What a Day. So Poco, Picking Up the Pieces, Forward, first track on their debut album, 1969. Here's a track I always dug off of XTC's Rag, Bone, and Buffet album. This is a kind of an odds and sods compilation right here that came out in 1990. 22 whopping tracks on here. The last track is kind of a comedy bit that Andy Partridge put together. It's called The History of the World, History of Rock and Roll. History of Rock and Roll, coming in at 22 seconds. He talks about the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, all under 22 seconds long. So this is good stuff here for humor. Another one I've always dug is the on the Yes album, Fragile. Right after the last track, Heart of the Sunrise, there's a reprise of the track called We Have Heaven, which ends the album. And that's coming in at 41 seconds. And I always loved We Have Heaven with all those different vocals going on by John Anderson's, double layered and such. So We Have Heaven, they don't even list this particular track on the album. It's just kind of attached to the song Heart of the Sunrise. But we all know it's We Have Heaven reprise. So coming on the Yes album, Fragile from 1971. The track that starts off the Beach Boys album, Friends, called Meant for You, coming at 40 seconds. Nice, beautiful little track. It doesn't even sound like Mike Love, but I believe Mike Love is singing the track. Brian Wilson wrote the track. This is becoming one of my more favorite Beach Boys albums over a long period of time. I didn't like it initially, but over the years I've been listening to it more and more. It's becoming like a top 5 for me, maybe a top 6. But yeah, Meant for You from the Beach Boys' Friends album, coming in at a whopping 40 seconds. Really cool track. The Mahavishnu Orchestra off their album Birds of Fire, one of my favorite jazz fusion albums. There's a track on here called Sapphire Bullets of Pure Love. And this one is just a little kind of an interlude before the next track, Thousand Island Park, starts. And this one is coming in at only 24 seconds. It's just a little noodling on the guitar, some violin going on, but has a cool vibe. I dig it. Sapphire Bullets of Pure Love from Mahavishnu Orchestra from 73 off their album Birds of Fire. You know, I've always liked all the little ditties on the White Album, and I especially like Wild Honey Pie. I know a lot of people don't dig this track, but I think if you take this track in the whole context of side one, I think this is what makes the White Album really special to me, is that it's a full listening experience. It's like a hootenanny of music, right? All these little interludes aren't, I mean, they don't really stand out on their own, but when you listen to them like in the full context of the album, they're fantastic. So Wild Honey Pie, played entirely by Paul, all the instruments right before it goes into Bungalow Bill. I always love that track. And there you go. And then if you really want to hear another cool version of Wild Honey Pie, check out this Pixies DVD where they're playing live in London, and they end the show with a rousing version of Wild Honey Pie. This is a really cool video. It has some of their, it has a complete live show, and then it has some of their videos that they released throughout their career on 4AD. So check out the Pixies' Wild Honey Pie. I think you'll dig it. Another one is Sean Phillips. This is an album from 1994. Back then, I was transitioning from albums to CDs. Sometimes I didn't want to pay the full price of a CD, so I'd have to buy a cassette. And this is a cassette version of her album Martinis and Bikinis from 1994. This track called Love and Kisses is just fantastic. It only comes out in about 56 seconds. But it is a great, great opener to a really, really cool album. So check that out. Love and Kisses from Sam Phillips from her album Martinis and Bikinis. Really cool stuff. Another one is Rod Stewart from his album Never a Dull Moment. This was his follow-up album from Every Picture Tells a Story, and I think it's one of his best from his early period. Right before You Wear It Well, they do this little instrumental called Interludings. Really, really catchy little track. And this one comes in at a whopping 40 seconds. So I've always loved this track. Very memorable, very melodic. Interludings from Rod Stewart from the album Never a Dull Moment. Another one is The Who. There's a couple off the Tommy album I really dig that are under a minute long. 2 are on side 3, I believe. Is it side 3 or side 2? Side 3. The first one, Do You Think It's All Right? Coming in at 24 seconds. And then a few songs later, you have There's a Doctor, and that one is coming in at 23 seconds. So those are 2 really cool tracks under a minute. And there's another one I was going to throw in from The Who's Sellout called Medic. I love that one too. That one is under a minute. So The Who, the Tommy album, a couple of little ditties there for you. The next one is from the Youngbloods Elephant Mountain album from 1969. There's a track called Sunlight, beautifully sung by Jesse Colin Young. But following that track is a quick little acoustic, instrumental, rendering of the song Sunlight called Double Sunlight. And that comes in at a whopping 41 seconds. This is a really great album here. If you've never heard this album, pull it up. There are just so many fantastic tracks on this album. Elephant Mountain from the Youngbloods from 1969, the track Double Sunlight. It's an acoustic number, kind of just highlighting the melody of the previous track called Sunlight. Another one, Van Halen, the album Diver Down. It's the track right before Little Guitars. It's the Little Guitars intro by Eddie Van Halen. Really, really cool, really melodic. That one's coming in at 42 seconds. So that's kind of a cool little ditty. Another one here from shoegaze band My Bloody Valentine. Now this is a real head trip of an album. If you never heard it, pull it up, listen to it on headphones. It's a mind blower. So there's a track on here called, I believe it's called, let me look at my notes here. It's called Touched. This comes in at 57 seconds, and it sounds like a warped track. And then it has this kind of orchestral kind of vibe to it. But it's a really, really cool track, along with the rest of the album. So more of an interlude than a real track. But just the vibe of it is a head trip. You should check it out. Called Touched from My Bloody Valentine. The album called... oh my God, I've drawn a blank, folks, from the album called Loveless. Of course it's Loveless. I can't see in this dark capo fetish lighting. So great stuff. Another one from Traffic. This is the USA version of Mr. Fantasy. And they have all these, unlike the British version, they have all these little weird interludes between songs. And it's snippets of, I believe it's snippets from the track Paper Sun. So Paper Sun starts off the album, and then it fades out, right? And then the rest of the album plays. And then after the song Mr. Fantasy, Dear Mr. Fantasy, there's a track called, what's it called? We're a Fade, You Missed This, which comes in at about 53 seconds. And it's basically just the ending of the song Paper Sun. It's just fading out to the very end. So kind of cool, kind of a cool way to end the album. I like this version way better than the British version, because they have Hole in My Shoe on here and Paper Sun. And I just think it has a better flow than the UK version. But that's just me. So Where I Fade, You Missed This. The last track on Mr. Fantasy, the US version from Traffic. And then last but not least, a great opening track off McCartney's first solo album, McCartney. The Lovely Linda, coming in at a whopping 43 seconds. I think they even included this on a Best of Wings double CD a while back. I think it was released in the early 2000s, but this is a real kind of a hodgepodge album, but I've always thought it had a lot of charm to it. Maybe Amaze and Every Night are the best tracks on here, but there's a lot of cool little instrumentals and such. I like it way better than Ram, personally. Anyway, The Lovely Linda from the first McCartney album. If you have any more to add to the list, songs that are, or interludes that are under 1 minute long, throw them in the comments section. As always, thanks for watching. If you dig the content across the channel, press subscribe. I'd appreciate it. As always, again, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.